Sit back, relax. It's a musical chat. We can all get along if we just sing this song. This versus that.
Hello and welcome back in to another edition of This versus That, where we break down the music of yesterday and today. What happened, what it was like, and what it's like now. You know what I'm saying? This is your host, Michael Leopold.
And that is your host, William Forness. Being very formal today, Bill, because I think that the topic for today calls for it. It's what makes a great cover.
What makes a great cover song? That's a good question.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of people have their ideas. You know, I certainly don't believe it's a note for note, sound for sound copy. I mean, that can be respectful if you're just throwing it down for an audience as an encore or something like that. That's one thing. But if you're actually gonna do a cover and put it out there and publish it and try to own that song for yourself, a version of it, you got to bring something extra.
Or if you're doing a tribute band, wink, then you want to try to get as close as you can. I don't. But I did stay at a Holiday Inn Express last night. So, with that, let's go jump right in head first.
We got Mony Mony.
Mony Mony.
By Billy Idol, who's covering the original song by Tommy James and the Shondells against Tainted Love, Soft Cell by Soft Cell, a little new wave action again from Gloria Jones. Little known. It's funny. I had to do a little research here myself because I thought it was the Supremes.
I didn't know. I did not know. I'm right there with you. I didn't know it.
So, from the public, we get the votes in, and we got 6 for Mony Mony, and we have 10 for Tainted Love. This kind of falls the way I expected it to, because I got to tell you, for my money, Mony Mony, it does not. That is not a song that I would ever care to hear again, maybe. And I love Billy Idol. But, I mean, it's so funny when I bet all my fraternity brothers and anybody that went to the University of Missouri with me during the mid to late 80s, there was not a stinking playlist at a party at somebody's house that Mony Mony wasn't on. And people saying, bands. Get laid, get effed. Right. And, it became tiresome. And then you hear it at weddings. And then, it just became that song. And it wasn't so terribly different other than with Billy Idol's snarl and his fist pumping. It was not much different than the Shondells version. It was more, 80s. They kind of modernized it in that way. But, left me flat. Tainted Love. This song always brings back, by Soft Cell, always brings back good memories for me from high school. Going to mixers, and I thought these guys on the new wave tip really brought a great version and owned it. Really took it and made it their own. Even though obviously it was an obvious cover because this song we've all heard before, but it really nailed the genre of that kind of new music, progressive style music that was coming out in the early 80s, mid 80s.
All right, so Keona Preston said, love Billy Idol, but that song sucked. So I think she's right there. Keona's with you. Tainted Love sucked much worse.
There's the backhand to go with that forehand.
I thought that was pretty good, right? I was like, oh, okay. What do we say here? Yeah, I'm not, same deal. Billy Idol. Cool. I like the stuff that he did. I didn't know, honestly, that Tainted Love was a cover. I didn't know that. So I thought that was their song. So that really made me pay a lot more attention to the original. And I got to say that especially for when it comes out, that period of time, awesome. Awesome way to redo a song. So I definitely got to go Tainted Love as well. And I'd still listen to that song today. So I guess I'm just at Mony Mony. I'm not really. I'm okay with it.
Sorry, Billy.
Yeah.
Your best, buddy.
It's sort of went. Okay. So we'll move right along. Let's go to this was interesting. Sid Vicious.
Let's be very
Let's
clear
be
about
very
that.
clear. It's Sid Vicious. It isn't the Sex
Doing
Pistols.
Sinatra's.
My Way. Or Social D's, Social Distortion, doing Ring of Fire from June Carter.
Well, who you got?
Oh my gosh. I guess, hey, let's just, we'll just put it straight out there. I definitely went with Ring of Fire. One of my very favorite songs. And I did like their version of it. I thought that they gave it just enough punk edge, but it didn't go over the top. See, I ran sound. I guess it was, I had to help these guys with a sound system. They did a show, Bowling for Soup. You ever heard of this group?
Yeah, I have. I think there's a great little cartoon on, I think it's on Nickelodeon or Disney, that's called Phineas and Ferb. And if you haven't seen it, it's freaking awesome. And Bowling for Soup plays the opening credits.
Do they?
It's their song.
I thought they were really, I thought they were cool. I was asked to help them out. It's like 2009. I bring in my sound system for the singer and the guitar player, and they were doing an acoustic show in Chesterfield. And I get to talking to the singer, and I tell him it's just when I'm starting to get this Johnny Cash tribute. And he goes, "Have you heard my version of Ring of Fire?" And I said, "No, I had no idea." And then he played it, and let me tell you, it just wasn't very, it wasn't very good. Sorry, guys, but it was like, oh, you know. And
They make a hell of an opening sequence, though.
That's awesome. But Social Distortion, they seem to be able to do it just in their genre enough to make it different, but still kept the quality of the song Ring of Fire. I'm not, My Way, not a fan. Don't do it. Don't do it, man. You're messing with a guy who could really, really sing. And I'm sorry, Sid Vicious, you can't sing.
I'll tell you why. For me, My Way works though. Okay. From figuring out about a cover song, because it's about a way of owning it with your style and your thing, and without a doubt, Sid Vicious brings that Sex Pistols kind of quality and angle to it. But he also, you can tell, he is not taking himself seriously at all. I mean, it is juxtaposed to the nth degree, right down to the video where it's this big fancy, it's almost like Frank is doing it. He's in his white dinner jacket, Sid is, and he's just tearing the song apart, and the people are applauding like it's the best thing they've ever heard, and it's obviously it's not. It's obviously it's tongue-in-cheek. So in that way, I give them huge kudos for doing it that way, for staying true to their punk roots, for kind of thumbing their nose at the whole thing, but also in some strange way, I think showing Frank some respect, you know. Yeah, I do. I mean, not that they were about respect, but I think it comes off later. For me, it kind of, there were enough little nods that they at least recognized that era as a very popular era with a lot of folks, you know, that when that was tops, it was big. So, you know, but that said, I love Social D, and Ring of Fire is awesome, and it does bring out that tattooed barroom brawling angle that Social D kind of has, that vibe, that alcohol soaked, just down in the fucking gutter, you know, in the spittoon, you know, singing song, and I love the way they do it. So I mean, for me, this is a tough one. Now, you know, I know we're supposed to do this at the top of the matchup, but you know, the public came in 15 big votes for Ring of Fire, and 5 for Sid. So it follows your thing. But again, I think these are both great covers for both distinct reasons. I definitely am gonna go with Ring of Fire.
Ring of Fire. Okay. Yeah. All right. We're all in agreement. All right. Next up, we've got Janis Joplin doing Bobby McGee.
Me and Bobby McGee.
Which, of course, was written by the great songwriter Chris Christopherson.
Yeah, who
Prolific,
knew?
man.
I mean, you country guys knew. But I didn't find out about his songwriting until I watched Ken Burns' country music documentary that he did on Channel 9 on PBS. And first of all, if you guys haven't seen that, do yourself a huge favor, because if you love music, the music in this country, including the rock and roll that we all listen to, was born out of this. And it is without a doubt one of Ken's greatest achievements, I think. And it owned me for how 10 episodes it was, I think.
It's awesome because I saw the one he did on jazz and I liked it, and he was very in depth, but I had trouble with it. But the country music one, he's really getting better. Even
he did a whole segment on Chris and his music and his writing. And I had no idea that he was that prolific of a writer. It was a really cool thing to discover, and it's totally changed, a lot of perspective. And that's a great thing about, sharing music, sharing ideas, and learning some things from new people to kind of get a new perspective from something, because you could dismiss country so easily and not appreciate where it comes from and how it gave rock and roll its roots.
Yeah. So that's it. Janice did a great job. Bobby McGee took that song to new heights with her vocal.
Love that song.
We talked about her vocal in the last episode. But Tina Turner is who she's going against with her rendition of Proud Mary from Creedence Clearwater, which is a great band in and of itself. What a great
to
trio.
34.
Oh,
58 votes for Proud Mary and Ike and Tina Turner, and 34 votes for me and Bobby McGee and Janis Joplin. Now, the great news is the participation on this matchup was fantastic. People were really passionate about it. They really got into it. They served it up, and we were talking about Proud Mary, before we got on, and you were saying some amazing, perspective about the difference between that and the Creedence, song.
Yeah, I really liked the genre that she put in, and then she changed it enough to make it into this dance number at the end, where they change it up and they double up the tempo and it's hand clapping, and she took it into this whole new realm, where Creedence kind of had the very pensive, stagnant version of that song, and she took it into a whole new realm. Now I think Bobby McGee did the same thing, but just vocally though. It was vocally only. Everything else sort of stayed the same as Christofferson's.
We talked about that last time too. That her voice was her instrument, and that's what made that song hers. Right. That's what gave it that flavor. So when people now think of that song, they almost only think of Janis's version, right?
Yeah, but Tina's voice too. I mean, absolutely. Tina's got this huge, amazing voice. But we're only talking about each song, right. And
But I will tell you, I certainly think that Proud Mary with Tina Turner and Ike eclipsed Creedence's. Exactly. Although I love Creedence, I love that version. I actually believe Tina Turner's, when people think of that song, that's the first. They think of her dancing and her legs, and those backup singers just crushing it.
To a new version.
Yeah.
It became a big orchestrated event at the end of that song, where it's all very, very much the same and right. It's very orchestrated.
Yeah, it's absolutely.
Laura Brenner said, not to take anything away from the great Tina Turner, but Janis kills this song. Made it her own while featuring the beautiful, softer side of her voice, then letting it rip, and the end, perfection. I think they both did that to a degree, but I just think Tina, the musical orchestrated ending created a...
Well, we forget about Ike in this conversation. Ike was on the musical arrangement and all that stuff. He's got to get some props for converting this song into something that Tina could then, and her energy and her presence and her vocals to take it to that next level.
He has to have the credit too.
People, it's so easy just to think of Tina because she went on and Ike got left behind, which he should have. After everything that he put her through, he should have been left behind. But you can't dismiss the how good they were together musically at that time. Although I'm sure that there was enough going behind the scenes that Tina probably would have preferred doing with somebody else, possibly.
Right. I think. Yeah, I'm definitely going Tina Turner. Who are you going with?
Yeah, I am. I have love for both of these, but I'm certainly. I bet I've listened to me and Bobby McGee, 4 or 5 times this year, and I have not listened to Proud Mary once. Okay. So I'm going with my gal Janice.
Wow. And Bill Beggs Jr., Joplin, hands down. Glad to know Janice recorded that great Chris Christopherson tune before she checked out. But you've got to hear Blame It on the Stones and Sunday Morning Coming Down off Chris Christopherson's 1970 debut, before he had a beard and started mumbling more than singing.
Bill.
Not to throw any shade on Tina, but could you imagine how awesome that song would have been had she been out from under Ike's thumb and nobody outdid CCR. So,
yeah, well,
all right,
Bill's a journalist, and he's an old soul, so I get where he's coming from. He's got a good perspective. So.
He sure does. Thanks for your input, Bill. We really love it when you guys give us your input.
And when you
so
go
keep
a
doing
deep,
it.
I like it.
Yeah,
Tell us what it means to think about.
You. Brent Higley said, "Gonna go with Janice." So he's with on this one. Christopherson does a fantastic original version, but Janice brought it to the masses. He also says Tina's a legend. That's the thing. It's really hard when we know these folks' careers too. And Tina's career went all the way until she just recently retired.
Right, and it's hard not to let that career overshadow that one song that Janice did.
We're just talking about a song.
Right, we're just talking about these songs against each other and who covered it better. And again, trying to keep in mind what makes a good cover. And that's subjective to some degree, but there's also got to be some way that you make it your own. And in this case, both artists made it completely their own. But
which brings us to the next of talking about who made it their own. You want to announce this one?
Oh man, this one. I mean, we thought we had a blowout last episode with Nirvana and Soundgarden. This one was just hilariously a blowout. Nothing Else Matters by Chris Stapleton covering obviously Metallica got 2 votes. Hurt, on the other hand, by Johnny Cash covering Trent Reznor and 9 Inch Nails, got 60 votes. Oh, so, I mean, complete smackdown. Now, I can't say that I didn't expect this. And the reason I say this and is because Johnny Cash is hurt. When he gets together with Rick Rubin to do this album, and Rick brings this song to him to do, not only they rearrange it, they completely change the arrangement. They completely change the tone. Obviously, Johnny's voice at this time is in a whole different place. It's almost spoken to some degree, but you can still hear his melody. But it's an old man speaking from knowledge of all the past, where Trent's, song comes from a young man who's in a dark place. And because he's got a problem, he's got something hanging over. The old man is looking back at life, and there's a little regret there, and he knows why, and and he still feels that pull, and it's one of the most visceral songs I've ever heard.
Have you seen the music video?
Yes, I have.
That's very interesting how it almost shows his whole career and him with June, and that he's looking at it from a place of regret. You almost get that sense that he regrets everything that he did, even though he had this enormous career that he kept recreating himself through every decade, even when you thought it was over. And the guy begins.
I mean, the guy did so much for so many others throughout his life. He had his own problems, like a lot of these artists do. But that's where, for us lucky ones who get to hear and listen and experience, we can live vicariously through them. God knows I don't want to feel that same pain that he felt, or that regret, But man, he absolutely made that song his own. And to me, might be the example by which all covers should be considered. If you're going to do it perfect, this is as close to perfect as it gets.
Right. And going from his being able to pull his own personal experiences into a song that he is now no longer in his prime, and works it out with a producer that they can configure in a new way that brings a new emotion of a song that is already filled with emotion.
Right.
And that's special.
Yeah.
That's
Where
special.
collaboration comes into, I don't know that Johnny on his own picks that song without Rick bringing that idea to him, right?
I know.
Yeah.
I think Rick brought it.
And then to have Trent Reznor, the original artist, hear that song and say that it made him cry. You know what I mean? That he felt everything Johnny felt. When the guy who wrote the song says that, that's unbelievable. Props, credence.
I think I'd read in one where he said it's his song now.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
That's humility right there.
Yeah. And so in Stapleton, so I listened to the song and I'm like, okay,
right.
cool. It reminds me of this very Nashville way that they're doing songs now, where everything is so overly processed. It's slick. It's great. I give props to the engineers for being able to make such a, just a overly
country song,
right out of Metallica. But I like Metallica's song that they did. It sounds more real to me,
It's more
organic,
raw.
and
Yeah.
I'm more of that guy. Like I like this organic. So I like Hurt from Johnny Cash because it sounds more organic to me than Trent Reznor's version of Hurt. But that's Trent's style. I'm not taking anything away from his style.
Trent brings the same amount of paint and a razor. I mean, that song's a razor blade. Right. You know what I mean? The rawness is there. It's just a different style of music. But it was the foundation of that song was built by Trent so that Johnny could make the most of it. The way he did. But I agree with you. As much as I think that Stapleton does a really nice cover of it's a good cover of a song. A lot of times these country bands try to take a heavy metal song and turn out, and it does not come off very well. Right. This one comes off well. But I think my buddy Adam Hackbart said when he and I went a little back and forth, because I was trying to draw out of him a little more than just, hey, screw Chris Stapleton. He couldn't hold Johnny Cash's jock, essentially, which we all know. But, if we stay focused on the song, he said, it sounded like it'd be a good song playing in the background of a movie or a TV show, and would catch you would hear it and go, oh, yeah, that's, nothing else matters. Oh, that's kind of cool. Right. But it's not anything you'd go seek out and play and really jam onto or spend any time with.
Tony Campanella said, I like the Chris Stapleton cover, but Johnny Cash's version has always stood out as one of the best covers ever. See, that's what we're talking about. Trent's original version is the epitome of young angst. That's exactly right. Yeah. The epitome. Johnny's version harkens an old man's remnants of a hard-fought life and despair over the choices he made. Have to go with Johnny. And that's exactly what we were just talking about.
That is exactly where I got that from. I thought Tony explained that so well. Not knowing you were going to pick that one out, I wanted to share that, that perspective. And Tony, just great job breaking that down. That's exactly it.
That's right. And I'm going to give a shout out here. So Shannon Miller, her and Bill Miller own the Johnny Cash Museum in Nashville, Tennessee. If you haven't gone there, it is worth the $12 for the admission. Please go check it out. She said you can't compare anybody to Johnny Cash. I'm right there with you, and I understand.
No bias.
No bias between us, though, here, Shannon, I don't think. But we know. We know what we know. Okay,
but
so
you're not wrong.
You're not wrong. You're not wrong. So in the last one, what we got here is, once again, we're going to be talking about Patsy Cline and her rendition of the song Crazy that was originally written by Willie Nelson and Amy Winehouse, and she did Valerie. Who won?
Well, it's so funny. I knew Valerie was a cover. I had no idea who she was covering, and so I obviously looked that up. The Zootons. Never heard of them. So I checked out their version, and you know what? First of all, I hear the whole foundation of that song that Amy sings right there, and it's not a bad song. It starts out a little iffy, but it kind of finds its legs, and it's not a bad. I don't want to say it's not a bad version. It's the version, and then Amy grabs it by the cojones and turns it into really something special, unique, to where I'm pretty sure everybody will always know and remember Valerie being her song. I mean, she absolutely nails that thing, and it just suits her with that how she carries her notes, and how she has that British accent where her A's kind of turn into R's, and there's just something I don't know, really sensual and sexy and visceral about what she's doing there. Now, all that said, Patsy Cline kicked Valerie's butt. Patsy Cline's Crazy kicked Valerie's butt, which surprised me. I mean, because people love Amy. Amy's in the 27 club, too. Out at 27, really would have loved to have seen where she was going to go, just like Patsy. But Crazy, iconic, just like Valerie. The vocals, the Willie Nelson did such an amazing job writing. And again, on Ken Burns, documentary, I learned that great story about where originally he was calling the song Stupid, and that was just not working. And so he came up with Crazy. And then in the middle of the night, he and somebody else he was working with got with Patsy's agent, and they went over to her house at like 1:30 in the morning and woke her up to give her that song and have her sing, because Willie wasn't having any real commercial success with it, but he just felt like it had something. And they went and cut it that night. They went down to the studio and pulled that thing together, and it's one of those songs that everybody knows.
Who do you got?
I think I got to roll with the pub on this one and say Patsy and Crazy. Probably.
And here's my take. I'm going with Valerie on the song merit alone, not so Patsy Cline's songs overall. I'm a bigger fan of.
Yeah.
I'm not so much. I do like some of Amy's other work, but this song in particular was the one.
Yeah.
It's the one.
Without
a
doubt.
Like you said, it's seductive. It's got all the qualities. She seems to flow in and out of the notes with a sense of ease, and there's a comfort to it. But yet these notes are big and expansive, and she just takes you on a ride.
Yeah, no, that's absolutely
and
right.
Crazy's cool, but it's still sort of, and she made it her own. But if you still listen to Willie Nelson's version, I like the fact that he wrote it, the song written by him, more than I care so much about how she covered it, even though it's a song that she's very much known for. Let's see some of the comments, though. Like Joe Leroy said, I love Patsy, and Crazy is absolutely iconic, but Amy's Valerie is a fantastic cover song, so I go with it. So he agrees. Amy and Andy Veloff said Amy's singing Valerie is one of the single best vocal performances of the last 20 years. That's pretty big, Andy.
Statement.
That's pretty bold. And let me say, and I didn't know until I started researching this whose song it was. So I thought for the longest time, if I didn't think it was hers, I did realize it was a cover at some point, but I thought it was maybe some older sort of more of a swing band's song. Yeah. I didn't know it was this English group.
Right, and it's funny because she worked with Mark Ronson on this one, and Mark Ronson was the one that went and got that song for her to sing. So he obviously saw something and could sense that this could be a good mix for her, or a good choice for her.
Once again, it's like a collaborative sort of effort where people hear something and they bring it to you and they know you can do it well. And of course, Willie Nelson and them and the agent knowing that song could be done well by Patsy.
Right.
It's
No,
beautiful stuff.
I like what you said there, and look, me picking Crazy over Valerie is like me trying to pick one of my kids over the other one. I love both these songs. I love both these artists, and like you said, Gone Too Soon. It would have been nice to hear what they would have done. As if they'd have stuck around.
I liked what you said off camera though, and you said out of all these covers, you thought Hurt was probably the winner out of all of them. If we had like just an overall. And
yeah,
I agree with you.
Right, and I just like I said, I think he checks every box and what it means to make a great cover, and then some. He might have actually put a new one in there. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's definitely very special.
Yeah, it is a special recording for sure.
Folks, thank you so much for joining us again. Episode 3. This is wonderful. We sure are hoping you're having a good time with us. Make sure, give us some more comments, some more feedback, and, always check us out on Facebook. What is it?
Facebook.com/this versus that. And then you can find us on YouTube. You can search TVT or this versus that. And then you can also find us audio only on anchor.com. But don't forget to get out and support the local venues and see some live music. We want to hear about it. We're going to start doing some things in the local scene as we get our feet wet here, and try to bring some discussion about what's going on there.
It's going to be wonderful. Make sure, check us out.
All right.
Stay safe.
Signing off. This versus that.
This versus that.
This versus that. This versus that. Sit back, relax. It's a musical chat. We can all get along if we just sing this song. This versus that.